I saw too many confusing navigations in reports which are either overwhelming, like showing 12 pages at the same time, or unintuitive, the navigation being in the wrong place, in the middle or in the bottom, or it doesn't even show on which page I am at or the other pages I can navigate to. In this video, I want to show how to create an intuitive and clear navigation with a lot of pages, so let's get into it. Here is a dashboard with 4 different sections and subpages. If you have a lot of pages, it's a good idea to break them into sections and group them logically and sort them also logically or by their importance. Here in this example, the sections are sorted by their importance and the pages logically, monthly, yearly, and the comparison versus last year. It's indicated with a triangle in which section and with an underline at which page you are at. I also added icons for the sections for an easier scannability and a more appealing look. So if you open the Power BI report, which you can also download from the link in the description, we are going to work in the overview section on the comparison page, and we are going to start with the pages, with the bottom navigation or the sub-navigation. And since we call the pages by their name, we can use a simple page navigator. Go to Insert and in the buttons add the page navigator. And if you open the formatting panel and then go to pages, disable show by default and select only the relevant pages, which are the monthly, yearly, and comparison. Let's make it a bit smaller so there is still enough space for the comparison text. And we can go to the size and style and change the height to 32 pixels. Let's move it down a little bit. And we are going to format it. Let's scroll down, open the style. And I already picked colors. I picked 2 colors for the text on the white background and 2 colors for the text on the darker background. Here on the whiter background, the default color is going to be somewhat lighter, somewhat de-emphasized color. It has some shade of the basic colors, like has some shade of this purplish bluish color in it. The font style is okay. Then go to fill, and yeah, the white color is also fine, and remove the borders. Then let's go to the state hover. Here the font is going to be semi-bold, and we will also add the darker font color, which will be this one. And here change the fill also to white. Now let's go to the pressed state. The font style again is going to be semi-bold. The font color can stay the lighter color, and we will change the fill to white. Then let's go to the selected state. Font type here is going to be Segway UI semi-bold. We pick the darker color. This is going to be the same like the hover state actually. And the fill, again, we can keep it white. And now when you hover over the buttons, you see these effects. And if you click, there is also this slight press effect. Now we will create this underline. For that, we can just copy this page navigator, move it a little bit to the bottom. Go to the formatting panel, make sure that you are still on the selected state. We can disable the text and we are going to change the fill to this purple, which is actually kind of like tealish, bluish rather than purple. Then make the button a little bit smaller and open the selection pane and move it below the other page navigator. And kind of looks good. I would want to have it a bit bigger so we can make sure that they are aligned in a way that the one with the underline or the one with the color is aligned with the border here. And the other one is a bit moved to the top. So there is like around 3 pixel distance between the border and this navigation. And there is a thing that sometimes at the edges, the color is still visible. So what we can do is to select the bottom page navigator now with the color and move it horizontally upwards. So that moves it 2 pixels to the right, this direction. And also the width, we can remove or reduce it by 4 pixels. So there will be an indentation from both sides by 2 pixels. And there will be still some visible line here. So we can scroll down, open up the grid layout, and add the padding of 2 extra pixels. So it can be 7 pixels. We can group the two, and this is going to be our sub navigation. If you copy it to another page, for example to yearly, then you see that it automatically adjusts. If you wanted to have the underline a bit narrower, then you could play around with the gaps between the buttons. But for us, it's going to work. Let's go back to the comparison page. And we will create the top navigation, the section navigation now. Here we could only use a page navigation if we had a landing page for each section with the correct name, like overview, spending, and so on. But in this case, when we navigate to the overview section, it should land on the first page within, which is the monthly page. So in this case, we can't use a page navigator. What we can do is either using a bookmark navigator, creating bookmarks for each page navigation, or we use individual buttons and add the page navigation as the action. The book navigator might be the easier way to set it up, but it can also cause some problems. In some circumstances where you navigate in kind of a circle, it will stick to one of the sections where you have been previously, and it will not show the sections you are at currently. So we are going to create individual buttons. Let's go to insert and add the button, a blank button. Let's give it also 32 pixel height. Then go down to the button style. And this is going to be our active page or active section. We can add the text, and this is going to be overview. And following the same principle, the selected page or section is going to be Segway UI semi-bold, and this time with white font color. Then scroll down. We can leave the icon, but we are going to add icons later, and remove the border. Then you can just copy the button, place it right next to it, aligned. And this is going to be the spending section. Make sure that you are still on the default state, and the font style is going to be Segway UI. And the font color is going to be slightly darker, so it's less emphasized on this darker background. This is again a kind of grayish color, but with the shade of these background colors. Then move to the on-hover state. Here the font is going to be Segway UI semi-bold and font color white. Then go to the on-press state. Again, Segway UI semi-bold, and font color can stay this darker color. So now we have this action here. And then we can scroll down again on the formatting panel to the actions and activate it. And we will select page navigation, destination, and this is going to be the first page within the spending section. Treatment. Now we can copy this button again. And here we just go up, and in the button style we change the state to default and change the name to admission. Make sure that you go to default first and then change the name, because then it changes the name for all the states. If you change it, for example, in the pressed state, then you always have to change it there individually if you change it later. Copy the button one more time. And this will be the capacity page or capacity section. Capacity. We can move them in the middle. By middle, I mean I want to move it between like the title and between this area, that it's kind of breaking up the space between this text or between these blocks. And we can format it. Let's format everything to the top. And I think it's almost right, except maybe this. So make sure that they are aligned without a gap in between. And now we can add dividers to it. Go to insert, shapes, and a line divider or a line shape. Then on the formatting panel, go to rotation and rotate it by 90% or 90 degrees. Make it 20 pixel tall. Then scroll down back to the shape style. Remove the fill and the border color is going to be, let's move it up first. So the border color is going to be color from the background, but a bit lighter than the background. So I just use this power toys to select the color with Ctrl+Shift+C. I can just select it. And if I click it, it's on the clipboard. And then I can just copy it here, which is this color. And then I just manually drag it up to make it a bit lighter. Something like this. It's really de-emphasized, but still distinguishable. Then select it again and make sure that this cap type is round. It is just to match the rounded corners on the other places. Here with our pages, rounding this underline is not possible, but I think it's okay here. And I just noticed something that here the white background of the bottom navigation cuts into the shadow a little bit. So you can either move everything up 1 pixel or 2 pixels, looking like this, but then you have here a little tiny gap. So what you can do instead is to open the bottom page navigator, then scroll down, select the state default and make it 100% transparent. Now it did all the background colors in all the states 100% transparent. So let's just go back to selected and make it 0 transparent. Now there is no cut in, it's much more smoother with the shadows. All right, going back to our sections and the dividers, you can place the divider between the two pages that they are in the middle. The guiding lines are helping with that. You can copy this, move it in the middle between the two sections, spending and admission, and then do the same before capacity. Then we can select the 3 divider lines, press Ctrl+G to group them. This is going to be dividers. Then select the 4 buttons, again group them. They are going to be the buttons. You can select the 2 groups, grouping them again, and this is going to be the top navigation. Make sure that the buttons are still above the dividers, because if the dividers are on the top, we can't click the buttons in these areas. And we will add now this triangle to indicate even more in which sections we are at. So let's go to shapes, add the triangle shape, make it smaller, and move it in a way that it's in the middle of the overview text. And remove the border in the formatting panel and change the fill to white. We can also move down the entire section navigation so it lines up with the title, a little bit like this. And moving this also a little bit down, yeah, like this. Then take this shape or select this shape. You can rename it to triangle and move it into the top navigation group. With the page navigation, how to place it, you can place it either in the middle. I would recommend to place it in a way that it's either in the middle of this, or you can also place it in the middle of the top navigation, or you could also place it theoretically in a way that the middle is always below the current section. But in that case, you would have to align it or adjust it in all the different sections. So I'm just going to stick with placing it below the top navigation, and then select both actually, and then moving them a little bit to the right side. You could also just move them in the middle to make things more simple. So you simply have the navigation in the middle. Before adding icons, I want to show how to add this navigation to other pages and how to adjust it, because maybe not all of you want to add icons to it. So I'm just going to select both. Copying it, then let's go to the treatment page, spending section. Here you can paste it and first select the sub navigation, the top page navigator. In the formatting panel, scroll down to the pages and add the pages accordingly. Here we have the same number of pages, so we don't have to change the size. But if you had, for example, just 2 pages, then you could make everything a bit smaller and then align it in the middle of the top navigation. Then select the bottom page navigator and do the same. Select the current pages. Then in the top navigation, you can just select the overview button. Make sure that not the group, but the button itself is selected. Then go to Home, Format Painter, and select or click on the spending section. Here now in the spending, on the formatting panel, we can scroll down and disable the action. Then select the admission section. Again, the button itself is selected. Copy the formatting then on the overview button. And then in the overview button, we add an action and page navigation to the monthly page. And finally, we will just move this triangle below or under the spending section in the middle. So this is really easy to adjust. You just copy everything, couple of clicks and you are done. Let's go back to the comparison page. And now we are going to add some icons. I already picked some icons with different states, which you can download also from the link in the description. But I'm going to show quickly how I would normally do it. Maybe you want to pick your own icons. Either you have them already, then that's great. Then you can just adjust them. Or if you don't know what icons you could give, then you can ask simply ChatGPT. I taught him what sections do I have in the report. Maybe you could also talk a little bit more about what's included in these sections, what's the data or the information. And then I just asked for some suggestions for icons. Then you can either pick these or maybe just gives you some ideas what icons you could use. And to create icons, I like to use Figma. So let's go to Figma. And in Figma, I just use the Iconify plugin where I can look for the icons what ChatGPT recommended or some other ideas I have. For example, looking for compass. I wanted to pick icons which are similar in style. I wanted to have them in the default state as an outline icon, but in the selected and hover state as a field icon to make it also more distinguishable. So I also only looked for icons which have both types. Then I wanted to have the corners rounded a little bit, so no sharp corners. And also the outline should be similar. So for example, here there are some icons with sharp corners. I wanted to pick something else. I think these were here. And I also wanted to have the icons to have a relatively narrow outline, like 1 pixel. So this one, for example, would be a bit too thick. And also I didn't want it to be too detailed. So these icons, or if you scroll down, these kind of icons are also too much. These were the ones I selected. Then I just looked for payment and looked for a credit card. I looked for a similar outline width, that they have outline and field type, a similar detail, and also similar rounding in the corners. Sometimes I didn't find an exactly fitting icon, so I just adjusted the weight sometimes. For example, if it was 1.5, I added 1 pixel. It's not possible with all the icons. Not all of them are made with a line. You have to check for that. And it was also a bit too big. So I made sure that it has the same frame size. But then in the middle, I made this image or the icon itself a little bit smaller than it was. Then I made sure that it's aligned in the middle. So yeah, you have to play around with it a little bit, but it makes a big difference whether the icons are matching in style or not. After that, I just sorted them into the different states. I added the same colors to them what we have in the text. I renamed them accordingly. For example, this is the overview default icon. And then I just exported all of them. I made it 4 times larger because the resolution is sometimes a bit bad if you export it as a small image. Then if you are in Power BI, we can select the overview button and add the first icon. Scroll down in the formatting panel to the icons. The icon type is custom and click on browse. If you find the location where your icons are, just select the overview hover icon. This is also the selected state. Also turn the icon size into 20 pixels. And we can align the text a little bit. So let's scroll up. Let's make this text center aligned. And the left padding is going to be 20 pixels. I already tried this and it works well with all the sections. So I want to make sure that the icon and the text is evenly distributed within the button. It's not perfect, but it's kind of okay. And then let's go to the spending button. In fact, you can select all the 3 remaining buttons and select the icon type custom. We change it at the text 20 pixel. And also center align it horizontally. So now we did it once, we don't have to do it individually for each button. After that, you can select only the spending button and add the icon, the default spending icon. Image fit is okay. Then scroll up and select the on hover state and replace the icon with the hover icon. Spending hover, go to on press and select the spending press icon. So now we have this action or this animation kind of thing whenever you click the icon. Then go and do the same for the admission and the capacity icons. I'm going to do that off camera. And after you are done, we can align them again because now it seems a bit too tight with the dividers. I'm going to select the first button and just pressing down shift and left arrow and just move it out to the left. Then going to the selection pane and selecting all the buttons, then holding down Ctrl, also selecting the shape dividers. Then in the menu ribbon formatting, alignment and distribute horizontally. Yeah, I think this works well. Now I'm just gonna move the triangle under the overview page or overview section. And then we can move the entire navigation in the middle again. You can do it either this way or you space it out a little bit differently and then move the bottom navigation below. You have different ways to do that. And now if you want to add it to other pages, you just do the same what we did before, but you also have to change the icons and that's it. So let me know what you think. You can give your feedback in the comments, or if you have questions, you can also ask them, and see you next time.